Hello, right, another Elite Dangerous video, and another one that will have no gameplay and anything like that, because I really have had a gutful of the game, and as each day passes it becomes less and less likely that I am ever going to play it again. Although sometimes I get a bit of an incentive to start it up again and do another video of it, purely because I know that it pisses off the brown nosers big time every time I take the game off, and because they then write to me and say, you know, fuck off you cunt and all this bollocks, it just makes me think, well, if I'm pissing them off that much, why stop now? So there may be some actual gameplay videos at some point, but not today. Now the point of this one is to respond to something that was written in my last video, which was an illustration of the Elite Dangerous community. And amongst all of the comments that I received was one that was written by Lemon Tube Amiga, aka LemonTube64, aka Life School Reviews. Now this bloke is anything but a Frontier Developments brown noser. He is bored shitless with the game, as a lot of us are, and yeah, he is definitely not one of those people who is going to go around saying that everything about the game is great and blah 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 blah. But in the last video, not only in the video itself, but also in the comments when I was replying to other people, I was constantly mentioning No Man's Sky, which if you've been living on Mars for the past like 3 years or whatever and you don't know what it is, it's basically another space sim game, you could say, in the same sort of in a similar sort of vein to Elite Dangerous. Only as far as I'm concerned, just from looking at the footage of it that's available, it does everything a hell of a lot better. And most of the people agree, and Lemon Tube Amiga here does agree to a point. But he then goes on to point out a number of areas where No Man's Sky may not meet expectations, and that in some areas it's not going to be that much of an improvement over Elite Dangerous. So here's this post. So it starts off, you know, pretty much as you would expect. You know, I've become bored of Elite Dangerous since I got near 45 million. It feels like a black and white trading game compared to No Man's Sky. Yeah, that's, you know, pretty much what you would expect. However, he goes on. But, so, we have a lot of potential areas where No Man's Sky may not live up to expectations, so I'll have a look at what he's listed. No Man's Sky is not a game which has been rushed out. Well, yeah, that's for sure. It has been under development for quite some time. I think it's been under development for longer than Elite Dangerous was before it was released. And as we all know, Elite Dangerous was released nowhere near finished. I don't think No Man's Sky is going to make that same mistake. Anyway, so he carries on. Yeah, from the demo vids, it looks like the flight dynamics are as simple as they were in Star Wars the arcade game, and you can forget realistic things which require flight assist. Yeah, it does. In fact, to me it looks like the flight model of it looks quite similar to it is in Freelancer. And Freelancer is by no means a simulator. It's almost an arcade adventure type game. The actual space flight has a very arcadey type feel. I've got no problem with that. I think Freelancer is vastly superior to Elite Dangerous in every way. For for one thing, it's actually enjoyable to play, which, you know, is something Elite Dangerous simply isn't. So I think the simpler flight dynamics and that, I've got no problem with that. I suspect the majority of people are not going to have a problem with that. And yeah, so okay, it could be something that, you know, the real sort of hardcore simulator fans aren't going to be too keen on. I don't think it's going to be that big an issue. There is, of course, another reason why it's going to be using such a simple flight system, and he goes on to cover this. The controls are so basic, they are intended for a PS4 controller. That's why, you know, it was necessary. The game was initially developed for the PS4. It's going to have a PC version. They're going to be released at the same time. But obviously, as it's been developed for a console right from the start, as opposed to Elite Dangerous, where they've now tacked that on afterwards, they've had to keep it somewhat simple. Again, I've got no issue with that, but, you know, that's not to say that the PC version may have some variation, and it may be that the PC version is a little more complex. At the moment it's all supposition, but it's possible. Anyway, so he carries on. Controls are basic. They're intended for the PS4 controller instead of a vast keyboard and mouse / joy combo. It's more like Fallout with a random landscape. It's been so long since I played Fallout that I can't really say anything about that. It could be. There isn't much to do either. Mine, in the form of blasting rocks already sticking out of the ground, trade, pirate and scan animals and treasure. Did I miss something? No, you haven't. But although, you know, listing that makes it sound like there isn't a great deal to do, that's still more than is in Elite Dangerous. You know, in Elite Dangerous you've got trade, combat and exploration. Now exploration is actually in No Man's Sky as well, so that's been left out of the list, but, you know, a pirate, well, okay, you can be like a pirate or a bounty hunter or whatever, or you can, you know, take part in military conflicts. Again, with No Man's Sky and Elite Dangerous, that's both the same. So you've got, yeah, you can lump them all together as combat. So where he's written pirate there, we'll just have that as combat. So again, it has the same as what Elite Dangerous has. Where it differs is the fact that you do have the ability to scan the various life forms on each planet. Now, supposedly the life forms on each planet is different on every planet. At least that's what we've been told. That means that there's going to be an awful lot of code necessary for individual life forms on individual planets. I don't know if that's a promise that they will be able to actually keep. And since Elite Dangerous, I'm now very weary about developers' promises and what the you know, end result is going to consist of. Nevertheless, so we carry on. The only difference is the game comes up with infinite combinations of chemical elements which a player can trade, so the stock market is vague and yet limitless. Yeah, in fact, that's one area where I'm a bit unsure with No Man's Sky. They have said that it's basically got a completely new periodic table of elements. It's not using the periodic table that we have. So I'm not so keen on that, to be honest. But the thing is, unless they completely break every law of physics and every law of chemistry going, the only thing I can see them doing is, okay, creating a new periodic table, but basically giving different names to existing elements. I mean, you know, the element hydrogen has the one electron and the one proton forming the nucleus. That is scientific fact. That is chemically, you know, factual. You cannot change that. So if this game then comes along and says, okay, well, its first element 1 in this periodic table is called fucking bullshititis or whatever, it doesn't alter the fact that its atomic composition is one proton in the middle, one electron, and you know, that's it. In which case its physical makeup is going to be exactly the same as hydrogen. You can't change that. If they do change it, then yeah, I'd rather they didn't. So yeah, that's an area where I'm a bit indifferent about it. I can see what they may do, I just hope they don't do it. Anyway, we'll carry on. The ship parts that you buy with the money are also semi-random, so your ship is always a mishmash of junk cobbled together. I've got no problem with that. Okay, the ship's going to be entering the atmosphere, so I guess you're going to need some degree of flight physics, especially when you're actually flying, you know, within a planet's atmosphere. So it's going to need aerodynamics of some kind. I mean, there is already a degree of, you know, mishmash parts in Elite Dangerous. The ships may look the same no matter what you do to it, but you are changing loads of the internal components. You've got a choice of weapons and blah-de-blah-de-blah, so I don't think that, you know, it being the ship being a mishmash of junk cobbled together, I don't think that's going to be a particularly you know, serious, you know, difference from Elite Dangerous. It may be done differently visually, but the end result, I think, is going to be pretty much the same thing. Right, had to take a bit of a break there because I stupidly forgot to have a drink with me when I started. I can't do a video without a cup of tea. Anyway, let's carry on. So, going back to regarding the mishmash of junk cobbled together, this means there is no saving up for the best ships, and as you increase cargo storage, you buy the armour and the defence to cover it. Has it actually been confirmed that there won't be any other ships in it? I've not heard anything that's you know, saying there won't be, and likewise I've not heard anything that's said the ship you start off with is the only ship you can have. So yeah, I'm not too sure about that. I think that might be jumping the gun a little bit. I have a feeling that when it comes to you know, being able to get extra ships and what have you, that's still to come. But I'd be extremely surprised if it didn't happen. And when you consider that games were doing it in '92, yeah, that wouldn't be a great move. In fact, I think it's yeah, I don't think that's a good idea. Anyway, we carry on. Mining on the surface of planets also seems a ball ache, because if you shoot a wild animal by mistake, you are attacked by respawning sentinels, so your only option is to leave and go someplace else. That's actually incorrect. When you're mining on a planet, you have to set your weapon to a particular setting, and then it will mine, but I don't think it kills or even injures any animals. Yeah, I think you have to set the weapon to set weapons for kill or whatever, before you can actually destroy the wild animals. The other thing there, yes, the sentinels do respawn, and as you destroy one sentinel, more will come along and they get more powerful, but not every planet will have them, so you might get away with shooting a wild animal if you want. I think I know the video that he saw where the lead developer was being interviewed and was playing the game at the same time, and he did that. He shot an animal that kept following him, and then suddenly all these sentinels came along. Yeah, that doesn't happen on every single planet, so I don't think that's an issue. I could be wrong, so I'm not saying my way is the right way, unlike a lot of Elite Dangerous brown nosers, but right, what's in the next? If you scan anything on a planet, the trading post is a massive landing complex just over your shoulder, so no taking data a fair distance away to get it scanned. I've got no issue with that. I'm more than happy to just, go somewhere close by and sell the data I've acquired, rather than in Elite Dangerous where you've got to be flying around for fuck knows how long to get to a specific place, that has to be 20 light years away before you can sell it. So I'm alright with that. I'm quite happy. If you do venture onto a planet tooled up like Arnie, if you die, the game will take away all of your upgrades and all your data, and may respawn the player either in danger or at their last save point miles away. I don't know about that. I mean, the obvious, I guess, solution is to save regularly, which is something I do anyway, largely because I play games like the Dragon Age series, where Dragon Age Origins is so unstable on Windows 8.1 that you pretty much have to save every couple of minutes anyway, because the game might crash. Dragon Age 2 is similar, though not quite as bad. You can probably get away with saving every half hour, and since various updates, even Inquisition has now gone that way, and the stability is awful. So yeah, I'm in the habit of saving like every few minutes anyway, so I don't know, maybe it's a habit to get into with this game as well, if that is the case. I mean, I didn't know that if you die it takes away all of your upgrades and all of your saved data. So I mean, I'm assuming Lemon Tube Amiga is going to be watching this at some point. Can you provide a link to your source for that particular one? Because I must admit, I'm not too thrilled about that. I would not be happy if that is actually implemented. So yeah, I'd be interested to see if that is the case. I don't know. So I'll wait on that one. Right, what else? No slave trading or people carrying courier and assassination missions to increase some kind of rank. There are going to be ranks. They haven't been implemented yet, but they are going to be there. Whether that's going to involve things like slave trading, people carrying couriers or whatever, we don't know. Assassination missions, I will be amazed if they're not in it, because it's very easy, I think, to implement that into the game in its current guise. And And I mean, I would imagine that things like courier missions would also be easy to implement, just within the trade system that's set up there. Same with carrying passengers or whatever. And of course, let's not get away from the fact that that is a feature that is still not in Elite Dangerous, let alone not in No Man's Sky, even though it's a feature that was in fucking Frontier and First Encounters. So yeah, there's no fuel scooping to survive or falling into an enemy baited canister trap. Again, well, I don't know about fuel scooping. I think they'll come up with an alternative to it. Most games do. So it could even be that, you know, fuel just isn't going to be an issue. I mean, I'd like to think that games set this far in the future, fuel's not a problem. They'll probably run on something like hydrogen, in which case it's plenty, you know, readily available. Fuel isn't going to be a problem. Elite Dangerous seems to be about the only game where constantly having to buy fuel is part of the game structure. As for like falling into an enemy baited canister trap, that's something else where again, with the game in its current state, that would probably be quite easy to implement. I'd be amazed if it's not in the in the final release. Yes, there will be salvage in the form of space wrecks, but that's just like trading illegal goods like we have in Elite Dangerous. Well, yeah, I guess so, but again, a lot of games have that. You know, you salvage stuff from space wrecks, you can tractor in parts from ships you've just destroyed. That's in Freelancer, so I mean it's nothing new. So I got no issue with that. You know, the fact that it's just like a feature that's in Elite Dangerous at the moment. Well, Elite Dangerous is hardly a shining example of great features within gameplay, so the fact that it's doing something similar to a feature that is in Elite Dangerous may not necessarily be a good thing. Anyway, carry on. Basically it feels like a sandbox Battlestar stroke Wars rip-off with lots of fancy particles, dust graphics and a galaxy map which is vast and goes on forever, but with no sense of knowing your way around it. Yeah, I mean, it's blatantly obvious when you look at the video that yeah, the lead developers are big fans of Battlestar Galactica and Star Wars. There's no getting away from that. Fancy particles and dust graphics on a galaxy map which is vast and goes on forever but with no sense of knowing your way around it. That sounds awfully familiar. It's Elite Dangerous. The only reason that some people know some particular systems to visit is because they know it through amateur astronomy like myself. Does the fact that it's in a different galaxy and therefore you don't know what to expect, is that really going to be an issue? I think for the vast majority of players of Elite Dangerous, they haven't got a clue what is going to be in any particular system anywhere, let alone you know, knowing every single one. So I don't see that as being a particular problem. I mean, obviously Lemon Chugamega is probably approaching the game from a very different point of view to me. He approaches Elite Dangerous from a very different point of view to me. So you know, it's a difference of opinion, and unlike, well, this is a point I'll make later on actually, so I'll stop there and come back to that later. So carry on. The only thing No Man's Sky has over Elite Dangerous is planetary landings, planet life and wrecks, and all of those are due to be in Elite Dangerous. It also has no stuttering. Yeah, well, I mean, lack of stuttering is certainly a fucking welcome difference. But the only thing No Man's Sky has over Elite Dangerous is planetary landings, planetary life, and wrecks. And all of those are due to be in Elite Dangerous. Not as far as I'm aware, they're not. The only one of those three that I know are due to be in Elite Dangerous is planetary landings. And I think it's a safe assumption that the planetary landings is just going to involve you landing on a planetary docking station. So essentially, once you have landed, it's just exactly the same as an orbiting, Orbis or Coriolis docking station. There certainly isn't going to be any exploration of the planet's surface. I don't think they ever intended it. If they do bring that in, the only reason they will do so is because they've had their hand forced by footage of No Man's Sky and what that's doing. And No Man's Sky has really thrown a spanner in the works as far as Elite Dangerous goes, because they thought they could get away with basically cobbling together a sort of god-awful hybrid of the original Elite and bits of Frontier, and just slap them together and say, right, that'll do, with a a bit of a graphical makeover. And clearly it won't do. It's now nowhere near enough. So anyway, we'll carry on. Basically, it's just a freescape game which lures the player in with ever more wacky graphics and animals as the play gets deeper in. I agree with that, but I don't think it can. I don't think that sounds like a bad thing. It does have another objective. The objective in No Man's Sky is to reach the centre of the galaxy. Once you've done that, you have effectively completed the game. But like Elite Dangerous, that won't mean the game ends. If Elite Dangerous can catch up with the landings and have creatures a bit later, well, it will have planetary landings. It's not going to have creatures and exploring the planetary surface though. I think Elite Dangerous still has more potential scope to expand and be greater than No Man's Sky will ever be. For that to happen, Elite Dangerous has to have a lot of work done on it, and the thing is, I don't think it's going to have that. And I'll come to why in a moment. Here we go. Having said that, with the money driving Star Citizen, I'm thinking Elite Dangerous can't compete with that game. Fortunately, it will take perhaps another 2 to 4 years to release these games, and this will mean that Elite Dangerous is up to something by then. That's being a bit optimistic, I think. In 2 to 4 years, Elite Dangerous isn't going to have a fucking player base to make it worthwhile them working anything on it. And he finishes, the bad news is, until then, I'm utterly bored with it. Now, I've got to be honest, Star Citizen is a game that I haven't paid very much attention to. I used to get quite a few people messaging me in-game or leaving messages on videos or whatever about Star Citizen, and I would always fob them off with the same thing, which was I'm waiting for it to be near a finished state before I actually pay any real attention to it, which is true to a degree, but okay, confession time, I don't really have much interest in Star Citizen. The reason being that the first time I went to the Star Citizen website, I took a look at like the ships that were going to be appearing in it, and I noticed that you could actually buy them, so you could start the game in some almighty fucking great behemoth and whatever. And I saw the prices on some of them. There was one, I remember, it was over $300 real money. And I just thought, you are fucking taking the piss. And from that moment on, I didn't pay any attention to it, and I haven't paid much attention to it. I've not been looking at any videos of it or anything. I'm not going to constantly ignore it. When it has got to a stage of development that I think is worthwhile, then I might, give it the once over again. But at the moment, yeah, that $300 price tag for a ship left a very sour taste in my mouth, and I've not paid much attention to it since. Now, why do I think that Elite Dangerous is not going to have the work done to it to allow it to compete with No Man's Sky? Well, the 1.4 patch or update that's coming is the thing that convinced me of this. I think that Frontier Developments have realised something, and by announcing the 1.4 update have you know, without using so many words, have admitted that they can't compete with No Man's Sky and maybe Star Citizen, which is something that even the fucking brown nosers won't do. They will never admit that, but Frontier Developments in a way have. The 1.4 update, a lot of people are saying, oh, the 1.4 update also includes the CQC, Close Quarters Combat. No, the 1.4 update is the Close Quarters Combat feature. That's it. It does have a few small other things. There is going to be another new ship, if you can call it that. But yeah, all it really is the addition of Close Quarters Combat to the PC version. Now, of course, that version will come as standard with the Xbox One, which means this isn't an update at all, and it's another fucking you know, cutting corners for Frontier Developments. They're claiming that the PC version is getting an update, when in fact all it's doing is getting, you know, dragged up to the Xbox One version. And I mean, let's face it, Close Quarters Combat is changing Elite Dangerous from, you know, an actual space exploration game into, you know, spaceships meet Unreal Tournament. And the more you look at Elite Dangerous at the moment, the more you see that it is gradually getting geared more and more towards that. It's you look at all the weapons that are available for those of you who play power play for long enough and you're signed up to your faction for 4 weeks. None of those weapons are really going to make a great deal of difference in general gameplay. So where will they make a difference? Oh yes, Close Quarters Combat. There they'll give you an edge. So it does indeed look like the weapons from power play are there to be used in Close Quarters Combat and not really to be used in general gameplay, because in general gameplay they make so little difference as to not be worth it. Then we have a look at the new ship that's coming in 1.4, which is frankly taking the fucking piss. The new ship is the Imperial Eagle, and if you look at it, it's basically an Eagle with a Mitsubishi Evo spoiler stuck on the back of it. It has slight differences, though, to be honest. I don't remember what they are, and I couldn't give a flying fuck what they are, because anybody who has played the game for half an hour will already have enough credits for the Eagle to be utterly pointless. There's also the fact that it also, well, to a degree will render the original Eagle utterly pointless. If it's a bit faster or if it's a bit more manoeuvrable, then why on earth would anybody choose the standard Eagle over the Imperial one? The only difference is that the Imperial one will probably need an Imperial rank of some kind, although a ship that small you'd probably be able to get it with just the first Imperial rank, which I seem to recall is Outsider. So the Eagle may be a new ship, but it's, you know, as predicted, it's just a variant on an existing one, and they've chosen well, one of the most pointless ships to do a variant on. The only way it could have been more pointless is if they had chosen a Sidewinder, but I think even Frontier Developments realised they would be taking the piss if they did that. But again, it's a fast, small fighter, and assuming you can use ships other than the Condor in close quarters combat means that it is there purely for close quarters combat. That's the only reason it's been brought in, and everything that's coming along seems to be geared towards close quarters combat. And it's looking to me now that Frontier Developments are steering the game away from the exploration, from the trading and blah blah blah, and they are going to try and turn it into, you know, flying your spaceships in an Unreal tournament. And the reason for doing that is because they've seen No Man's Sky. They may even have seen how far Star Citizen has come along and realised we don't have a hope in hell of competing with that, so we're not even going to try. We'll steer the game in a completely different direction, which means it's now absolutely nothing like what we promised it would be, and it's going to result in a lot of current players thinking you can stick it up your arse, and well, it probably will attract a new crowd if they get to hear about it, because of course Elite Dangerous has been out for a long time now. It's been out for what, 8 months, and it's been out for such a long time that the reviews have been and gone and are months old, and anybody who's thinking of buying it now will look at the reviews, see what they say about it, and think, well, that doesn't sound anything like Unreal Tournament, I'm not interested. So, you know, changing the direction of the game this late is a ridiculous idea, and it's just it looks like Frontier Developments themselves have given up, which is quite coincidental, because an awful lot of players have given up with it. The player base now, especially if you look on the Frontier Developments forums, or the Elite Dangerous forums, are full of scum, full of fanboys, and that's all it is. There are a lot of people who post on there who rightly complain about numerous aspects of the game, but those people don't usually post very often because they get the fanboys replies and rightly think, well, if this is what the community is like, they can stick it up their arse, I want nothing to do with it. Which brings me back to the final point I was going to make about Lemontuke Amiga's post. There is one thing that annoys me about it. It's nothing that he's written. I think he, actually argues his points pretty well. It's the fact that it's Lemontuke Amiga who has written it. I have on countless occasions said to the brown nosers who just come along here and all they ever post is like, fuck off you cunt, and that's it. I have on countless occasions said to them, right, come here and argue your point. You try telling me why the game is so good. You try telling me, why these bugs are acceptable. You try telling me why the game being rush released in a clearly unfinished state was a good idea. Why the addition of power play, a feature that nobody wanted and no one likes, was a good, good move. And now why this 1.4 with CQC is a good idea, even though it's now steering the game in a completely different direction to what we were promised from day one. And none of them have, and none of them will. So Lemontuke Amiga here has basically done what I keep asking the brown nosers to do, and he is not a brown noser. He is about as far removed from being a Frontier Developments brown noser as I am. But here he is, he's arguing his case not so much for Elite Dangerous, but against No Man's Sky. And yeah, okay, a few other people have in private messages. No one seems to post them on my videos for some reason. Also mentioned some bits about it, but not one brown noser has. In fact, since my last video, well, this one, the illustration of the Elite Dangerous community, I haven't had any more brown nosers posting. Instead, all they do now is click, down on the video. This one's already had 4. The straw that broke the camel's back has had fuck knows how many since. Now it's a 14. And that was because people would come along, and because they don't want to be called out, no, it just shows how fucking gutless they really are, instead just click, vote down. Despite the fact that I have said countless times, I don't care about how many views I get. I don't care about how many subscribers I have. I don't care if you like the video or not. I don't care if you watch it, all the way through. But I don't even care if you watch it, from at all. I've said that plenty of times. I don't do it for anybody else. I do it for me, and that's it. But they seem to, be convinced that, voting my videos down and writing "fuck off you cunt" is going to make me think, oh no, I better stop. They haven't figured out that what it does is show me that my videos piss off the fanboys, piss off the brown nosers, and therefore I think, well, I'm doing alright, I'm going to carry on. And that's why there is still a good possibility of some more gameplay videos coming along. As I say, not today. So anyway, that's this video done. As I say, it was just answering the numerous well-made points that Lemon Chewing Amiga made, and like I said in my comment to him, because he made so many that I wanted to reply to, it was easier for me to do it this way than to try and write a huge bloody great reply. Plus, this way it also means that people will get to see his arguments, which I think are worth reading, and I think more people will pay attention to what I say, whether I'm agreeing with him or not. It also shows something that I do that Elite Dangerous fanboys don't, which is I'm able to argue for and against comments raised, instead of just writing "fuck off you cunt." Believe me, it's easy to do. I do it enough times in my videos. Oh, fuck off you cunt. Oh yeah, that takes real skill. So actually, having the intelligence to argue your points for or against, like Lemon Chewing Amiga does here, and like I've done here, and Ben Wingrove here is another one who frequently argues points for and against Elite Dangerous, well, actually mostly against. Occasionally he'll say something for Elite Dangerous, but not very often. Yes, it's something that, we are capable of doing. It's also something that the Elite Dangerous fanboys are utterly incapable of doing. So, yes, there you go. So that is that video done, and I'm not sure what video will be next. I've got my film reviews I've started doing, which is, God, it's taking a long time, because trying to extract clips from DVDs is a fucking painstaking process. I've also got another video coming out. This is a list of subjects that I could be covering in this one video, which is I've had some comments made to me in private messages. Someone described me as a combination of Charlie Brooker and Mark Kermode, which I take as an enormous compliment, you know, to be compared to either of those two. And because I have a reputation for being someone who hates everything, even though it's not actually true, I was going to do a video where I seriously go into one over various things that I really do hate and why. I'm coming up with a list of 10. If I was to do a video where I listed everything that I hate, the video would go on for years, and that would just be me listing, you know, I hate blah 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 blah, let alone going into why. So I'll be doing one where I cover 10 things that I really do hate. At the moment I've got 9 things listed on there, which includes BBC Three, television advertising, Facebook, the EDL and the USA, among others. And of course I'll still be doing retro reviews and PC game reviews. I've got 3 PC game reviews coming up fairly soon. Freelancer I'll be doing Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2, so that's 3 of those coming, and yeah, there'll be the occasional retro review thrown in as well. I've still got to do a review of 720 Degrees, which Lemon Tube C64 very kindly requested I do. Yeah, cheers for that, mate. So yeah, I'll be doing that one soon-ish. So in the meantime, that is this video done with. So this is Commander Lucosa saying, go away.